Are you in full-on goal-setting mode right now? We are in a new year, and most of us, or at least a lot of us, are talking about or thinking about our goals for the new year. So join us today for our episode on setting savvy goals. We'll see you in just a minute. Okay, here we are. Welcome to the Heart and Mind of Business. Once again, I am Clara Rose, and I'm here with Debbie Clement Large, and we are going to be talking today about setting savvy goals. Have you heard of savvy goals before, my friend?
I'd never heard of them until I'd spoken to you.
That's because I made them up.
Yay!
I created them. Yes. So, and because there are a number of acronyms that people use to talk about goals, and there's, like SMART goals, and none of those are bad. I just thought there were some things missing. So I just created my own. So I wanted to talk about those a little bit today. And it's in our masterclass series. We go over the savvy goals in more detail, but today I'm just going to focus on one of them. I'll share them all with you briefly, but focus on one of them. Okay, so what is the savvy goal? So the acronym SAVVY stands for strategic. And if you've known me for more than 5 seconds, you know that's a big one for me. Everything is strategic. Actionable, so there's your A. Got to be able to do something with it. Values-based, something not a lot of people are talking about. Visionary goals. And then the Y is you-focused goals. Yeah, you definitely get over to the masterclass series and participate in that, because those are all good things, right? We'll go into depth. Today, I want to talk about the values-based. I think it's a conversation that not a lot of people are having around the setting of goals. Do you, when you set your goals, are you focused on the values-based? Have you thought about that perspective before?
Tell me a little bit more about how you use values and where that comes into creating.
Okay, so what I'm talking about for values-based goals, I'm talking about the goals that you set for your intentions for the new year that we're looking at, how those are connected to the core values of your business. That's something we also talk about in the masterclass series, the importance of the way that you run your business, that it's connected to your personal values. For instance, integrity is one of my personal values. It's super important to me that everything that I do, that there's integrity to it. So that's just a part of who I am. So I bring those values, like integrity, into the operation of my business. So I try to run my business with integrity always. It's one of my personal values. So I have a set of core values within my business that I use to guide my steps, to guide my actions. So every new thing, that potential opportunity, every new thing that comes into my business, I measure it, if you will, based upon my values, my core values, so that I'm creating a culture that I want in my business. So it's all connected to my own personal values. That's how I'm finding fulfillment in my business, right? Is that it's so connected to who I am as a human being. So that's what I mean by values-based. Knowing what your values are, how those core values work within your business, and then your goals being connected to or based on the core values of you and your business. That's what I'm talking about.
And actually, I think that's really important, because you don't always hear that a lot. And what I can hear sometimes is that people will just do a business because they have an idea where they think there's a gap in the market, and they'll go after it just for the money. Right. And I think when you do that, you may make the money, but you may do it to the detriment of your health, your relationships, and even your own spiritual development. You might spiritually bankrupt yourself by just going after the money. So I think having that basis of is this something that really feels connected with me, who I am, what I want, is really important. And I think that can be overlooked. And
Yes.
maybe lots of us do it unconsciously, if you like, but you've made it very conscious. You've made it a real conscious decision to think about, what are my values? How do they reflect in the business? How do I create that business that reflects and operates within those values, so that everything I do, I feel in alignment with how I'm working, how I'm conducting myself, how I'm meeting other people, rather than just doing it just because.
Right.
You hear that so often, don't you? I'm just doing it because I can make a few bucks at it, or a few pounds at it, rather than building something for the longer term. Because yes, you make something in the short term, but it might not be a long-term thing that brings you any happiness if it's not something that feels good.
It's really about authenticity, right? So there's a lack of authenticity if what you're doing isn't connected with who you are and your core values. And I like to give this example. My daughter, who's grown, she took a job a number of years ago that paid fairly well, and she was excited to have this particular job because it paid fairly well, but it was spending time on the phone with customers. But soon after taking this job, she discovered that they were lying to people.
Oh,
right? Yeah, that was, now she wasn't working for herself, she was working for a company, but they were using fear and intimidation and flat out lying to people. And so very quickly she's like, we're instructed to what they're teaching us. It's not true. And I can't stay at this job because I can't lie to people like that. I can't do that because it conflicted with who she is and her values, as a person. So she quit that job. So what I'm just saying is, when you're looking, especially in your own business, you've got to create this business that is authentic to who you are. It's got to be values based, or that authenticity won't be there. There'll be an incongruency between who you are and your business, which will only end in failure, either failure of your business, or you'll end up hating what you do. And who wants that out of life, especially since as a business owner you work so hard, right? This is it's got to be a labor of love for sure when you're a business owner. So
and actually what you say, people will pick up from the tone of your voice and your body language whether you are congruent with what you're saying. And I've seen it before, and I know I've told a story about a car salesman once upon a time, with what he was saying and what the vibe he was giving off, his body language, and I just knew there wasn't something in alignment. There was something that didn't feel right. And you can hear it sometimes when you get these spam calls, when people are trying to say, there's ones going around about COVID. You've been tracked and traced as being in contact with someone who's had it, and therefore you've got to have a test and you've got to pay for this. Well, of course, it's just somebody trying to scam you for money. It's not real. And you hear them, Amazon Prime memberships, things like that. But you kind of pick up, and it always comes back to fear, trying to frighten you into something that isn't right. And you don't get any sense of fulfillment and joy. How can you live and feel connected with who you are when you're, so disconnecting just because of the money?
Yeah, that's why the values-based piece is so important. So it's just one of the V's of the savvy goal setting, but it's a super important one. So I wanted to share that today. But I really encourage all of you to get into the masterclass series and learn all about setting savvy goals. This is the time, especially if you're in the beginning phases of building your brand new business or thinking about it. This is all good stuff that you need to know at the onset of this. So,
and even a person like me found them really interesting. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed them.
Yeah. So becoming more consciously aware, things maybe I do naturally, but being more conscious about it and really thinking about creating something for the longer term that will bring me joy, enable me to feel fulfilled, but build up relationships in a way that is long lasting, that feels You said authenticity. Yeah, definitely. But really understanding what your own values are. And I think that's super important. So thank you for sharing that, Clara. That is wonderful stuff. And if you're anything like me, you will want to know more about these savvy goals, because they are a wonderful way to help you create the business your way. So please put your comments below. We'd like to hear how you have created your own goals. Do you use a savvy-based model as well? And what do you think about values, and how do you incorporate them into what you're doing now? Would love to hear that. So please please share, because there are people who really could benefit from the information at the moment. We all need to connect and help one another out so much. So subscribe to get the notifications, and we look forward very much to seeing you soon. Thank you for joining us.